welcome to today's episode of Conversations That Connect with Suki and Tayla from Montague Group. So today we are talking to Wilmi. Am I pronouncing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wilmi.
Okay. Just check.
But Wilmi is fine.
I'll teach you Afrikaans, Naomi. I'll teach you Afrikaans.
That'll be another episode.
Okay.
Who is partnering with you guys through her organization. So yeah, welcome.
Thanks, Naomi.
Completely thrilled to have you here, Wilmi. Maybe
excited.
Just a little bit of background. Wilmi is currently sitting in a beautiful city called George in South Africa, which is in the Western Cape. And Wilmi and I met a few years ago, Wilmi. We won't say how many. Yeah, no.
I can't even remember.
Feels so long. Met and the work Wilmi does and where her passion and heart lies for people is just inspirational. So it was a no-brainer when we were looking for an organization that we wanted as Montague Group to support. It was a no-brainer to look at Sappin, the organization that you're director of. Is that the position? Director. Yes,
that's it.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about Sappin and what you do?
Yes, I would love to. And thanks for the opportunity. It's really great to chat to you guys. I love these informal chats that just happen.
Yes.
And I think I was sort of trying to say, what is the connection between a recruitment company and Sappin? And Sappin is the acronym for the South African Parenting Program Implementers Network, quite a long spiel. But I think if we look at it from a holistic approach, then we are connected. And everything that involves the development of children or the optimal development of children connects to parenting or families or whatever you want to call the community that children grow up in. So yes, there is definitely a connection between that. So Sappin started in 2017. It was one of those things that happened. We were part of a violence prevention forum, and you can Google that. It's a very, very interesting forum that started in South Africa to find solutions for violence on different levels. And there were government officials, researchers, nonprofit organizations, corporates coming together, and to this day, they still do twice a year to discuss what are possible solutions to violence. And then after this one specific violence prevention forum in 2017, 3 of the nonprofit representatives come together and say, yeah, but we feel as if our voice isn't being heard. And we feel as if maybe we're a bit scared to talk in this bigger group with government, all these high-powered people. And then we said, but what if we get together and stand together, then we can actually enhance our voice within the forum. And that's how it started, just by this need that was identified. So in 2018, I think we were like 5 or so organizations that got together for the first time and said, but okay, what is it that we actually want to do? And what is it actually that we want to achieve? And out of that, so it's been, this is our 7th year that we've been working together based on relationships. So we build really deep relationships with each other, with our bigger community, but mostly with our clients. And to bring that to the other sectors, to say parenting touches all the different aspects of life. So we only became a registered formal entity last year, end of last year. And then I started working full-time for Sappin. Before that, I was a director of a community-based nonprofit organization close to George. So to sort of give somebody else the opportunity to move in there, and for me to focus on the Sappin growth, on a permanent basis. Yeah, and that's how we started. Was that the question?
That's the question. And I love the background that it's when you guys got together, the three organizations, saying we'd like our voice to be heard, you had no idea where it would lead. But there was obviously correct, and there was a need for that. And I think we've from our side, because of COVID, I mean, people that have been working have always been parents. It's not like COVID and all of a sudden you became a parent, but it's like COVID put a spotlight on it because people were able to work from home and still do their job, or still do their job better than they used to be able to, but also be a mum, also be a daughter, also be a granddaughter, and still be part of the community. So it was sort of a spotlight that was shone onto it. And I think, like I said to you the other day, we ran a poll just as a parent, when you're moving jobs, what's important for you. And it was really interesting to see. I think if we ran that same poll, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, it would have been a very different, I think it would have been a different outcome. So the spotlight has, correct, and the spotlight has been shone on the parenting side of it. And again, it's not like it wasn't there. It's always been there. And we feel very strongly that when we recruit somebody, we're recruiting a package. We're recruiting a son, a daughter, a husband, a wife into an organization that will be reporting to a son, a daughter, a husband, a wife. So it's this dynamic environment the whole time where, we're very aware of it. Not all organizations are always very aware of it. That there's baggage that comes with people. There's stuff that come with it. Life, really, life that happens with it.
And although, sorry, Suki.
No, go ahead.
Although you can always say, like, you leave your personal issues at the door when you do come to work, sometimes you can't do that.
No.
Especially when it is like that's your life, that's happening at the moment, and like it could be minute or huge, that you're not there at work. And I think that's that you need to be a little bit more open to the fact that you do recruit a family, not just one person. So I think it all ties in well with what Sappin does and what we look for in a candidate as well.
Correct. Prime example, Naomi, you're in Ballarat area and you've been outside of your house for almost 2 weeks because of the fires.
On and off over the last week.
And that's worrying about family, worrying about pets, worrying about your house. Worrying about work. Yes.
And managing that stress at work. I mean, the whole reason I go to work is for my family. So it was a tricky thing to manage. And there was no way that I could go to work and just leave it at the door.
No.
So sometimes I think you really appreciate having a manager or a boss who says, I can see that you're going through something with your family, and that needs to be your top priority, because not every manager or employer does that or says that.
Correct.
Even just I understand.
Yes.
Like, you may not understand, but just saying that, you're like, oh, okay, that feels better.
Somebody sees me.
Exactly.
Correct. Wilmi, I wanted to ask, I know that this might be very South African-based data, but in terms of interesting findings and I know you guys are focusing on fatherhood as well, not just mums, but the whole family and the holistic unit. And sometimes it's not as easy as a mum and a dad and children. It's way more complicated than that. What are the interesting things that's come out, obviously, with your experience with the non-for-profit community-based organization that you were with, and now Sappin, who sits across a lot of these community-based organizations, and you're getting a bit of a bigger view? What are you finding?
Sure, that is a really, really difficult question, because I would need about 10.5 hours just to scratch the surface of
Okay.
what we're finding. I think just reflecting on the conversation that you guys were having, there is a very slow but definite shift away from packaging our lives into different aspects, into having a more holistic approach about our lives. And I think that's a very, very valuable way to look at people from a holistic perspective, to say you are, like you said, somebody's daughter or somebody's mom, or you are not an individual on an island, you're part of a community. And I love how you don't define a family as your traditional family, father, mother, because families are so many different communities that either choose to be together or together through blood or whatever. So I think that is one of the things. Taylor, you were talking about, you cannot leave your things, sometimes you cannot leave it at home, but something like how you grew up, where you grew up, the intergenerational trauma that you carry within you, you bring into a workplace, and that influences the way you do conflict. So if your manager or the person you are working with don't understand those things that you bring to work with you, it makes it really hard to have conflict in a way that is positive and can create positive change within your workplace. So that's just one of the aspects. And I think it is slowly happening, but it is like a huge ship that has to be turned, and it will take a lot of time. Not look at a person with different, this is your physical sector, this is your spiritual, your emotional, your work life, financial, but as it's so intertwined, we cannot really take the one from the other. So I would say definitely that. There is so much research on children's development, and how parenting styles or whatever influences how children grow up and their development. And of course, the other side of the coin as well. If there is broken parenting, I don't know how we can call it, that is still respectful to parents, because we absolutely believe that parents are doing the best that they can under very difficult circumstances. I think about my own life. I'm a parent, and it's really, really hard. And now it's easier because my children are adults. But when they were small, sometimes I was really scared of those little things. And I had so many privileges. I didn't for once had to worry about where the food on the table was coming from. So if you with so many things that influences the way that you parent, but you're still doing the best that you can, that influences the way your children will grow up, and their development. Will they be able to perform well in school? Will they be able to find a job or study further? Will they be able to express emotions in an appropriate way? So many things. So if you're interested, I can share, I don't know if you have like a platform where you can share these research articles, but it's very, very interesting if you can take that and then make it applicable to violence prevention, for instance, because we feel parenting is one of the best ways to prevent violence. If you have secure parents who have addressed their own trauma, they will be more aware of their children's process.
Correct.
And be able, So I think those are two things that I can just quickly mention. But as I say, there are so many things that we become aware of. And also, I think connecting to your world, recruitment, the workplace, I think there is more of an openness. I see big corporates who encourage people to take a family day or to work on things or to become involved with other parents, that sort of thing. So I think that is really very, very positive.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop there for now.
I love the way that you just think about things. It's so, well, me, I'm not a parent, but the way that you express everything, and you say it in a way that is just beautiful, if that's the word that you could describe it as. But yeah, it's really lovely to listen to, and the way that you think about sort of the different aspects of it all.
And I
Thank
think
you.
because of in Australia, we as an Australian community are extremely blessed, in the sense that there's very few people that wonder where food's going to come from tomorrow in terms of percentage wise compared to South Africa.
Yeah.
But I think the issues doesn't matter if you're a really rich family with a lot of resources or a very poor family with very little resources. The dynamic, and there's certain things that stay the same.
Yep.
And I think it's that mental health. We spoke at the end of last year, we spoke about mental health, and just being aware that you're also responsible for your own mental health. And there's so many places available in Australia that you can contact and can reach out to. But I think that the first contact is a mum, a dad, a sister, an aunt, somebody in the community, or maybe it's a colleague, maybe it is a boss that sees that you're struggling because they know that you usually like this, and all of a sudden this is happening. So what's up? What's changed? What's happening in your world for you? So it's probably just an awareness of that. But that takes a special person. You need to be switched on and want to be switched on. That's the other side of it. Want to know.
That's definitely one. And now we've started a process at my previous workplace where, for your KPI processes that you have like every 3 or 6 months, instead of just focusing on work-related performance indicators, is to work on personal performance indicators. Again, the holistic approach. And also, as part of the process, to do a compassion satisfaction self-test. To be able to identify if your staff members are struggling, and then to be able in that aspect to help them or refer them to more help and support.
Wow.
And I think part of that process led, and when you said mental health, I wanted to chirp in again and say holistic health, because it's so, again, intertwined.
Yeah.
So we've started with a research project that it's amazing how these things happen. Somebody says something and then you connect it to that thing and blah, 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 and then you sit with this whole zhoosh. This one organization was starting to do research with a new school in New York, and another organization was starting research with a funder in America. And we just said, why don't we bring all of this together? And it was focused on exactly what you're talking about now, is in a care economy, because that's what we do. We're in the care economy. What is the price that frontline workers and managers have to pay? The compassion fatigue, the burnout, vicarious trauma, moral injury, to identify that and say, what are staff members doing at the moment for self-care?
Yes.
But to be able to establish, is that enough? And Sappin works on, our foundation is principles and values. And one of our principles is that you have to have as part of your programs reflective supervision. But now we're saying, is reflective supervision enough?
No. Or
do we have to say all people in the care economy needs vitamin B supplements? So again, to bring all of these things together to say what is really helping, and it's not just for the care economy, because if you are working in, I can't think of a shop that you have in Australia, anyway, but you also work with people. You also, there's the same things that you experience in a lesser degree you have in retail or corporate or things like that. So that was just
What an amazing workplace culture that would be.
Absolutely.
You're so nurtured, so loyal.
Yeah.
Correct.
And also you can see we've co-designed a program that focuses on family violence prevention. And what makes the program unique is that it is implemented in a workplace. So your first 6 sessions is around what you can do for intimate partner violence. And the last 6 session is focused on what you can do to focus on your children. For instance, to redirect their attention instead of, smacking them, something like that. And what we found in that workplace was that there was less absenteeism. People had better conflict resolution in the workplace. So the atmosphere within the workplace improved because of this family violence prevention program. So
That's
way that people interact with each other. So Taylor, when you say, I don't have children, it's okay. Maybe one day you will, maybe you won't, but you'll interact with people every single day. And if you're aware and use these principles, then you have exactly the same impact into people's lives.
Yeah. And then that will also stem back to the children, because it's like that monkey see, monkey do kind of thing as well. Like if they see how their parents deal with conflict and stress or violence or something like that, then they will also have the principles on how to do that correctly and what's going to be the best for them too. So
Having an example.
Exactly.
That's fascinating, Wilmi. I didn't know that. That's really interesting but it's principled, like you said. It boils down to principles and values. And if it's a principle, you should be able to use it in multiple scenarios and multiple situations.
Deadly. Yeah.
In terms of exciting stuff, what you guys are doing at the moment, I know that there's this big, in South Africa, you call it an Indaba, but it's a big conference coming up. I've told Taylor about the word Indaba.
Amazing.
Yeah, beautiful, huh?
This is coming up for you at the moment. What other exciting things are happening?
Okay, many exciting things. But let's first start with the fatherhood as a role in Daba. I think what we experience is that fathers are absent. And it's been primarily the mother's role traditionally, and I think worldwide, the mother is the primary caregiver. And then a lot of times in South Africa, fathers are not present. And we sort of last year realized there's a lot going on in the fatherhood sector. A community of practice was established. They were talking about the new state of the father that is coming out now in this year to say what is happening in South Africa. Research has been done. And then we had a families in Daba at the end of last year, and a lot of the conversations was, where are the fathers? What is happening in fathers' hearts? And then we said, let's have a 2-day workshop that we planned for like 2 years ahead of time, but for our members to say, let's make it bigger and invite other people from other sectors as well, because this is a question that people are struggling with.
Yeah.
So on the 18th and 19th of March, we have a 2-day immersive, interactive experience, and we're going to start with a deep democracy process to understand our own experience and perspectives and perceptions around our own fatherhood. Even though I'm not a father, but I also have experience of fatherhood, and then how that influences us. So that on the second day, we will go into 2 panel discussions. We have panelists who talk from their perspectives, and then a second panel who talks about the research that has been done, things that is happening in South Africa around fatherhood. Then we use the open space technology. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to send you lots of information because it's an amazing, amazing way to work, do conferencing. Instead of having an agenda for the conference, is to have an open agenda, is to say, we don't know what we're going to talk about. I had a conversation with one of the panelists and she says, so what do you want me to talk about? So, I don't know. It's like,
we'll see.
We're not going to put the agenda there. So the participants of the Indaba then actually decide, we've heard this, we've experienced this, this is what we want to talk about. So then we have 8 breakaway sessions where people then talk about those things that they feel is important. And there's a specific way of doing it according to the open space technology. And then after that, we take all of the information that we received, all of the experiences that we had, and then co-author a research article around fatherhood and make that available in South Africa as the collective who experienced this process. This will then be in the State of the Fathers that comes out in October, but it also influences programs, it influences not just father work, but mother work as well. Because what happens a lot in South Africa, and I think it must be happening everywhere in the world, is that mothers or grandmothers are the gatekeepers. So a lot of times fathers are absent because the mothers or the grandmothers decide that.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the process that we want to establish, is what is happening in the broader context, not just fathers are bad because they're absent. A lot of times that isn't the case. Again, we absolutely choose to believe fathers are doing the best that they can and know how. So that's the first thing that's really exciting. Then this research that I told you about, I think is really exciting in the sense of, if we can understand what people are doing for self-care, and if we can understand what support they need, then maybe we can take that on a broader scale and support not just our members, but non-profits or organizations in the care economy, and say, this is what we found to support their staff members, and also make it available to corporates. We work closely with a couple of big corporate companies in South Africa that is very open to have these sort of conversations and get a different aspect around that. Then I think one of our major roles is advocacy, is to advocate for parents, with government, with funders, with corporate, everywhere that we can, and to make people aware, because government tries to find solutions for children. And we were at a conference a while back, and I realized how much effort and work government put into early childhood development, but from a center perspective. And the whole time we say, that's amazing, you're doing great, but where's the parents? Can we just put the focus? So I think that is really important, is to bring that in. And then we're working on the 2 programs that I just spoke about, the family violence prevention program. We call it Free to Grow, because the first time we rolled it out, the participants said, this is a Free to Grow program, and now the program is the Free to Grow program.
Love it.
And then we're also working with a very well-known mine in South Africa on a program to prevent gender-based violence, not just on the mines, different mines, but through their service providers. And that is a huge thing that happened, because corporate, they are open to us and to do things in a different way. And for us and for them to work together, we're working in a consortium with different organizations and this company, and for them to be able to open. So that is really exciting, to be part of a process where you can see these people really care and they really want to support their communities in which they work. So those are a couple of things that I can think of at the moment. But it's just it's amazing to see how many research things are happening, from nutrition to teenage pregnancies, from different members in the group. And always we want to bring it back to the clients to say, if there is one family that found a different way of conflict resolution or discipline than corporal punishment, I mean, how more exciting can it be than actually that, is to see these people are doing great, and that's thanks to the support that they have received from one of our member organizations. So
love all of
Incredible.
that. Yeah, absolutely. It's I literally sat and I had goosebumps going, that's a privilege to be part of small part of that. And if there's, like you said, one family's life that can be changed, or a different way of doing things, I think in Australia all of that's relevant. I love the fact that corporates are, like you said, it's slowly changing. But Tayla, you mentioned it, if you can address these things or you can provide support, it's, why would corporates invest in it if it's not beneficial for them as well? Like the organization is the people. And if you can support your people and make things easier, better, supportive for them, then the company benefits from that as well. So it can be this beautiful dance almost of looking after each other. I love that. Amazing.
Very heartwarming.
Very heartwarming, exactly. And that just gives you hope to know that there's still good things happening in the world.
Absolutely.
Not all negative. There's good things happening in the world, and it's a privilege for us to be part of it in a very small way.
Yeah, thank you. No, I don't think it's a small way. I think it's a big way. And I always say, I think I'm the most privileged person alive, because being part of changes or processes that brings change is so fulfilling and so wonderful to experience that. So I just say I experience miracles every single day on different levels and in different places. But so it is a privilege. But thank you to you guys. I think it's great that we can make the connection, because ultimately people are people. And we struggle with the same things everywhere. I think in South Africa, we struggle a bit more maybe with violence. But ultimately within households or communities, I want to call it communities, or where there are relationships, I think we have the same struggles everywhere that you go in the world.
Definitely.
Agreed. We just need to get a corporate to see this podcast and then force you to come open an office in Brisbane, ideally.
There we go.
There you go.
Or the Sunny Coast.
Or the Sunny Coast. Yes, I've got ulterior motives here.
Or we'll be catching a flight over to South Africa. Suki, you'll be able to show me your hometown.
Exactly.
That would be lovely.
Hard work.
And we can experience it in Darba.
Yes, that would be lovely. But we're making jokes now. Well, we're not really making jokes, but we're being lighthearted. But I do think that change lies within collaborations. And I think in South Africa, that's a word that people love to use, is silos. But it is ultimately so true that you work in your little silo, I work in my little silo. And the moment that we share, you actually learn more, you're open to things that is happening, so you don't have to redo those things that is already happening. So, and I think that's the basis of Sappin's foundation, is relationships, but also collaboration. And it changes how people interact with each other. The other day somebody said, but you guys are, how are you so open with each other? And said, but that's just how we absolutely believe in working with each other. So if there are corporates in Australia or non-profits or the care economy or whoever who needs information or wants to connect, I think that's what we need to do, is just connect the different dots in the world so that children can benefit ultimately from that. So yes, we're absolutely open to establishing an office, but also just to share what we are doing or the research that we've got or whatever people are open to.
And
we'll have
future. So
exactly. We'll have all the contact details on this podcast. We'll also make sure that it all refers back to the website, that they can go and find you there, Wilmi. And if anybody has any questions, just reach out and we can make that connection. And ultimately, that's us as well. Our job is about relationships. That's it. And if we can make connections and help people out by doing little things that then ultimately puts them on a path for their future, there's a bigger picture.
Yeah, definitely. And we always talk about genuine connections as well, which I think is very on par with Sappin.
That's it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for getting up early.
No, this is work time.
So that's it for today's episode of Conversations That Connect with Montague Group. To join past and present conversations, make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, and let us know what you'd like to chat about next.